Do we have consensus on that? I will endeavor to stick to the timelines put. So it means as we continue delaying to come back, we also delay the activities. So it's incumbent upon us that we try as much as possible. I'm now worried, and we need to agree, because we have had late lunch, and I want to put a question that if you look at the program, let me invite you to the program on page 19. Temporarily, I'll move to Parliament and become the Speaker of the Kenyan Parliament. I want to put a question to you in a few minutes. But let's look at the program. We are looking at promotion of good practices. We wanted to take a little break and see what have utilities in the country been doing in terms of managing this monster called non-revenue water, because it's not attractive in any utility. And again, when it is so big, it make people ask certain fundamental questions, especially on management, in terms of the management of the utility. It does not give you a good rating or scorecard if it is extremely high. So we have deployment of advanced metering infrastructure, water loss management. We'll be going to listen to the case of Nyeri Water. Then we also listen to MEWAS. Then go to Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company. Listen to what is happening in Nanyuki. I know they have deployed technologies relating to GIS, complementing the management of water loss. And we listen to some of the good practices KEWI has instituted in terms of capacity building the sector to manage this monster to acceptable levels. Then we have the role of the civil society. This will be done by Vincent Ouma from Kewasnet. We were supposed to go for a health break, then come for meter reading and billing analysis. But I'm now of the opinion, because of the delay, we merge the sessions together and have the health break after. Because I think it is a headache, again, allowing people to go, come back, there's back and forth, the lifts and everything, because the place of the health break is outside the building. So I want to put a question that, do we merge the sessions together so that after that we go for the health break, relax a little bit, then we can come for the gala dinner? And that will afford you the opportunity, if you want a scarf, a white tie or a shirt or a white shoe, to just sniff around and see if you can get one. As many as of the opinion say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. So that means we have merged the program. And at least you have had lunch, you are full. Also give the body time to digest the food instead of adding another layer on top of another layer. Or are we of the opinion we do away with the health break because the gala dinner is coming? As many as of the opinion say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. Nays have it. So health break remains. Yeah, the nay was stronger. Or do I repeat the question? No, it is fully paid for. So whether we take it or we don't take it, it will still be paid. So if there are people who still want to take it, we can't stop them at this juncture. But what is important is you can choose to go to the health break, or you can choose to shop around a little bit in preparation for the gala dinner. So I think that is sorted out. Now, I want to invite all these MDs to step here. Engineer Peter Kahuthu, Managing Director, Nyeri Water and Sanitation Company. Munisaidie kukaribisha Engineer Kahutu, muhandisi. Kiswahili sanifu tunamuita muhandisi Kahutu. And Nyeri Water has been the best water service provider. I didn't listen to Impact. I was out of the country. Did you still retain the same position? Okay, congratulations. Because I was not here, I was not following. When it was dark this side, it was bright the other side. When it was dark the other side, it was bright. So you can understand what was happening. So they have been the best utility for over a decade now. Why don't we appreciate them? And they have an unrevenue water of less than 20%. Under WASPA key performance indicators, when you have between 20 and 25, that is acceptable. When you have below 20, that is good. So Nyeri is operating within the framework of good. Meru Water, I also understand they have been doing well in terms of non-revenue management. They are below 10. Where is the representative of Meru Water, the head of NRW unit, Mr. Franklin Thuranira? Thuranira, weko? Then we have Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company Limited. This is our company at the shores of Lake Victoria. Hii ni kampuni ya Dala. So we have the MD here, Thomas Odongo, Managing Director. I'm not sure, is he represented? Who is representing the MD for this presentation? I can see consultations are being made, thank you. Mohandishi Moses Jura, tumpigie makofi, pamoja na Thuranira. He'll tell us. I know they have also been doing well on the front of managing non-revenue water. This is the only company that has the delegated management model on NRW. Is it a live engineer? Ah, great. The delegated. So if you want the delegated management model on non-revenue water, you'll hear them. Then Nanyuki Water and Sanitation Company, we have the NRW manager, Bwana Joseph Irungu. Assist me to welcome Joseph Irungu. Thank you very much. Then Kenya Water Institute, represented here, the CEO represented by Bwana Moseti. Assist me to welcome Bwana Moseti. This is a seasoned lecturer who has been assisting the utilities in terms of training in this specific area. He's knowledgeable, he has a lot of experience, and he'll tell us how they have been doing it. So without much ado, I want to invite Engineer Peter Kahutu to do his presentation. And let us agree, international best practice, 7 minutes is the best. Can we negotiate on the matter of time? Is 10 minutes adequate? Do we have consensus on 10 minutes? As many as of the opinion say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. So the ayes have it. 10 minutes, please. Manage your 10 minutes. That means it will take us 50 minutes from now. And yeah, that one I think will be good, almost an hour. It will take us almost to 4:30. So allow me to bring in Engineer Peter Kahutu to do his presentation.
Thank you, CEO. As we wait for the projection, I would want to extend the invitation. You visit our stall or our exhibition stand, which is placed between exhibition number 12 and number 14. I will be very brief. I know the theme is advanced metering infrastructure, but I'm also going to blend that so that I can be able to demonstrate why WASPA has been able to perform very well in terms of non-revenue water management. So I will blend the two and give an overall picture of WASPA. Maybe you can move forward. That is just a locational map of Nyeri, where Nyeri is. Even that one is about the background of Nyeri water. Probably we don't have to be there. We have the mission, vision and mission. Probably, again, we don't have to spend so much time there. But we have the motto. Our motto is for quality water. And I always say, you have, all mottos should be catchy. You know, you have the Safaricom, the better option. And we have some other mattresses who they are saying they are good in bed. I don't know whether you have been able to see that. It's a catchy motto. And also for sausages, one is never enough, isn't it? And we have the core values as indicated there. There are 7 of them. They are more or less cutting across most of the WSPs we have in the country. So we don't have to dwell too much on that. We also, this is a specific case we have in our informal settlement. We call it Witemere. Witemere is an informal settlement near Chania River. And as a company, we went this way, and we did install a water ATM also to deal with the competition, because there was a lot of competition. As much as we had adequate water in Witemere, there is also adjacent Chania River. So we had to put this to ensure that the access to water is quite convenient at any time, day and night. When we talk of, we have accreditation, the best practice, and certification. WASPA is accredited since 2011 with ISO 17025, 2017. And that means our water lab, our meter testing lab, is recognized. And I would want also to invite the WSPs and other players. We do business because we test meters, we calibrate meters, we calibrate water samples at affordable fee. Then we also have the issue of certification. We are ISO 9001, 2015 certified. That we have the 2 images where we have the lab, and the next one is where we have the water testing laboratory. Going forward, I wanted to highlight a bit on our current strategic plan because it is key. And the first one is maintain sound governance, and this is an issue which had equally cut across, even from yesterday during the official opening, the aspect of governance. We also have the second one, strengthening financial health. We do have service delivery through employment of appropriate technology. And I think the theme for today's, or this forum, or this conference, is quite supported by that appropriate technology. We have enhanced provision of water and sanitation services delivery among the low-income areas. I've already mentioned about it. Strengthen institution human resource capacity. And I will be able to explain along the way. We have a dedicated non-revenue water team since its establishment, and that aspect of building capacity, and through training and such. Then we have the aspect of environmental consciousness, and the last one is quite key also, strengthening partnerships and collaborations within the key stakeholders. And we have been able to do it, and we have walked the journey with quite a number of partners. We have the service providers, and we have also national government, and also we have county government. Key success factors, we can highlight some few, because they indicate why a WSP is successful. We have a lot of support from the board, management, and also having mentioned about the board, it means equally the county government is in it. We are properly supported by the county government. They give us a conducive environment. Then we have appropriate policies. As much as we'll be having quite a number of activities in our operations, they are governed by policies which we strictly adhere to, and it's for the best interest of our consumers. Then we have building of internal capacity. Yeah, we do, and I've mentioned about it, even training, exposures, and such. We have commitment of resources. Whenever we budget, we ensure we commit resources to the fight against water loss. Adoption of technology, that is where we are, and equally we shall be able to demonstrate how we are adopting the technology. The other aspect is the benchmarking, which is very key, and I think is one of the key role of WASPA, where we encourage ourselves and also the other peer WSPs to do benchmarking. We learn a lot, and we are able to improve on service delivery. You can carry on. Sorry. Impacts of water losses, I don't have to read them because they are common, they are simple, but they are very critical. I think I don't have to read that. Now I want to go to the operations, and we highlight some 9 key strategies which we have adopted over time. They may not cut across all the WSPs because we have different scenarios, but these are our key strategic objectives. And we are laying it bare, and we have always done it to ensure that at least we communicate how have we been able to perform. As much as we talk of technology, the other key strategies which make us to be who we are. And the first one is formation of an active non-revenue team, which we did. It has been there for quite a number of years. In fact, since 2008, and even much, much before. In fact, there is what we call Nyeri Water Supply Project, which was commissioned in 2006, and immediately we formed the non-revenue water team to work together with other divisions. We have the technical, and also we have the commercial. We have zoning, subzoning, and block mapping. This is something also we did at that time, and we have each and every zone manned by competent technicians and plumbers. And this ensures that we are able to monitor flows on a daily basis. We monitor flows on a daily basis, and we have meter reading, and that is one of the opportunity or area where we are looking, how can we improve? Instead of physically going to visit the meter, we install these advanced technology meters where you can be able to read them remotely. So we have 40 zones and a number of sub-zones which are monitored on a daily basis. Accurate measurement of water produced and water billed. We know non-revenue is between what is produced and what is billed. Definitely, for you to get it right, you have to ensure the water you produce is appropriately or accurately measured and equally billed. And when you talk of billing, we have other solutions because we are talking about technology, we have systems. Now we have an ERP among other systems to help us have appropriate billing. Then we have pressure management. Like this one may not cut across for each and every one of us. Nyeri, we have a challenge. Is it a challenge, or how can you put a scenario where we have a lot of high pressures to the extent of 20 bars and such? So Nyeri, we have employed pressure management to ensure that we avoid bursts. Proactive leak control, we do. We have equipment, and that's why I have invited you. You can visit our stand. You see the type or the kind of equipments we have to ensure that we don't wait for the leaks to appear. We monitor, or rather, we investigate and repair them before they appear. We have the customer meter calibration. I've mentioned about it, and that is why we are talking about. We have a lab which is accredited, and once again, we invite you for meters, testing, calibration. Karibuni Nyeri. On continued strategies, we have meter servicing and replacement. This one we do, NMAS, and guided by the results we get from meter testing laboratory, where all stopped meters, under registering meters, over registering meters are tested or are confirmed. Detection of illegal connections, this one we equally do. We engage and we partner with the community. We ensure that we monitor the flows. And when you talk of meter reading, for example, the zone of meter reading, we established something we call sustaining flow.
1 minute.
1 minute. I'm almost there. Somewhere we are able to identify whether we have flows changing from X to Y. And when we identify such, through the active meter reading, we are able to identify probably where we could be having leakages or illegal connections. And then we have monitoring of large consumers. We have a number, and we ensure that we monitor them on a daily basis, because it means if you missed maybe an hour, or by an hour or 2 hours or such, it means you may lose quite a lot of water, and that is why we do that. Towards the end, we have other strategies, proper disconnection methods, inspect disconnected connections to avoid reconnection. If you disconnect, like nearly almost 100% depend on what we supply. If you disconnect today and tomorrow, that person or the customer has not come, it means he could be having another source of water, and one of them could be through illegal connection or reconnection, individual reconnection. Speed and quality repairs, update data on block maps, lists of all covered customer meters to minimize the number of customer meters, build on estimate, and testing of all installations. That one we normally do. We can carry on. I only have, we have said, I have 1 minute. Carry on, please. Let's move forward.
You now have 20 seconds.
Having done all that, it has been a journey. And you can see from 1987, the non-revenue water for Nyeri was over 50%. And now we could say currently we are at 17%. It has been a journey.
Two more minutes or you're done?
1 minute.
Why, I add you a minute?
I'm done.
Okay, so.
That has been the journey for WASPA. And they are simple. They look simple, but once you do them continuously, I can assure you, be able to achieve on these channels of communication. Otherwise, thank you so much, and waiting to hear from you.
Let's applaud the engineer. Thank you. Hope you've picked some salient features of why Nyeri is Nyeri. Meru, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
As the CEO said, I'm Dhuranera Kinoti from Meru Water. I'm the NRW United. I'll try to go over some of the qualities which I would say we've been practicing, which have been leading us to trail Nyeri as the second leading utility in NRW for a few years, and probably catch up with them in the next few. My slide, please. Next. Oh, that's my next there. Okay, so this is the first one. We've actually picked this one up from the JICA project team. We were part of the 9 WSPs, which JICA worked with to try and create NRW reduction strategies. It's called a PDCA cycle. It basically means plan, do, check, assess, and repeat. At the start of the financial year, or when you're starting your NRW journey, the first thing you do is that you assess your NRW capabilities, capacities. Where are you? What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Where would I start first so that I can gain the most I can and make it out of it? After you do that, you plan and start with the most essential services. You do them, you check, see if they work. If they don't work, you move on to other ones, or anyway, at the end of the day, you will have a lesson you have learned out of it. Next slide. Teamwork and organizational responsibility. From my experience in NRW, it's come to my attention that NRW cuts across from everywhere. From production all the way to the meter reading assistants, the people who go take readings at the end of every month. So to cap this, in our organization, we came up with a committee or a task force where we meet at the end of every month, or if there is a dire situation, or quarterly. We discuss NRW, the previous month's NRW, what has happened, and then we try to source out where it has come from. Was it the O&M people took too long to do repairs? Was it the non-revenue water people who were unable to pinpoint where leakages were? Was it the procurement section which bought materials which were bad quality, they led to repairs? Exactly. Was it the billing section which didn't bill properly, the meter readers didn't read properly, and then we had a high NRW? We meet at the end of the month, discuss it, we find the results, forward it to the management for further action. Next slide. Data collection. Can anyone hear me? I'm struggling with it. Oh, okay. Okay, data collection and analysis. We collect data daily, a lot of it. It helps guide our decisions on everything that we do. For example, every day in the morning at 8 a.m., we start reading our daily bulk meters. We also hope to go into an AMR system with that. They are taken, you also have to do it qualitatively, not as much as you have that quantity, you have to have quality. you make sure that there's a defined route so that every meter is read at least within 24 hours. Not a meter is read 20 hours, the next day 26 hours. The data will not guide you to be able to do patrol and preemptively identify leaks. Billing analysis, it helps identify consumers with aberrant behavior. Leakage data, it helps you identify where your problems. For example, you can see a snippet of data we've collected where you can tell that our 40 millimeter pipelines, they account for 53% of the leakages we repaired. 20 millimeters accounted for almost 19%. So from this data, we were able to make a decision as a company. Everything we do now onwards from 40 to 20 millimeters, it's HDP. We are trying that, there has been a reduction in that trend. Next. Quality workmanship and materials. I think I picked this one up from Eldoret a while back, although we've been hearing for a while, use HDP, use good quality of water meters. So as a company, we've adopted purely to use HDP and R160 meters. These has helped reduce our non-revenue water. As you can see, we also seal almost all our connections, specifically C1, C2, C3, anyone who consumes some good amount of water, because these are where the WSPs are mostly open to losses. Procurement of the material also comes in. It starts in from the second you start procuring the materials. When you start procuring the tender specs and everything to float it, you need to really know what you are doing so that you are able to enjoy the fruits later. Next. Meter management, this is very, very, very important, specifically as much as it's WSP based. When you get to the lower parts of NRW, you need to be able to control your meters, look at your consumers, see what they are consuming and change it. Currently, in the current financial year, we've changed 1,092 meters. This has resulted in a billing increase of 16,000 cubic meters per month. You can see there are results from what you do. We took our consumers, categorized them from C1 to C7, and then we said, let us change everyone who doesn't have a volumetric meter or ranged meter. That's starting from the biggest consumers coming to the smallest. There has been a steady increase, if you average the last year and current financial year, of 16,000 cubic meters per month. Next. Standard operating procedures. One thing I've come to identify, as much as you have SOPs, you have to keep evolving with time as you go. You may have been doing something, and then you discover within times as you assess it doesn't work, it works, we can improve, we can do better in one way or another. So as a company, you need to come up with practices which are basically based on NRW. Currently, we are, from the next financial year, I think we are adopting a part where any new project that has to be done, pipelines, anything, the NRW section has to be involved. If it's design of pipelines, you have to make sure there are enough air valves, there are enough section of valves, there are enough blowouts, everything, to make sure that the company gains the most out of the projects. Next. Sufficient partnerships in the water sector. You can't survive by yourself. You have to go out there, learn what others are doing, see the emerging technologies, come, develop them in your organization. We've benefited a lot from the WASPA benchmarks, WASREB workshops, Ministry of Water workshops, Waterworks Development Agencies workshop, and more specifically JICA. JICA has been like our big brother in our journey of NRW reduction. You also have to keep updating your people. You have to keep training them on new and upcoming ideas, what's happening. Keep updating them, and they will keep delivering for you in the field. I think the last one. Good practices. You adopt good practices, make sure they are practiced each and every day. For example, some of the ones we are practicing on a daily basis, evidence-based reporting. You don't just go report. If you go see a leakage, you have to take a photo, upload it to the IMS system. This one will be used to show the leakage has been repaired. Use of listening rods. They've been very, very, very effective for us when used together with minimum night flows and step tests. After doing a minimum night flow, the following day you do door-to-door connection, you identify a lot of leakages which are underground you couldn't see. I think we've reduced a lot. We had a zone which had a problem. I can actively say with JICA we've managed to reduce the NRW by half, from 80 cubic meters per night to 40. Using embracing of technology, of course, you have to use GIS, free source software to collect data. Customer categorization to enable monitoring of C1s. Decision making by use of data. Don't always feel that something is wrong. Have data to back up what you do. And then you will find you will develop a habit of making the correct decision from time to time. constant analysis of NRW situation. Always keep at looking at your NRW, where am I going wrong and how can I improve it? That is all from Meru.
Let us appreciate Bwana Franklin. Give me a jig, Kayamba Africa. Some people have gone, let them come back. Where is it? Let's be on our feet, please. Naona wanaenda wanarudi. Aya, Kayamba Africa twende. Let's be on our feet, please, for one jig. And weka ile ambayo tunaweka mguu mbele, ingine nyuma kidogo. Ensure at least you are shaking. I think that is better now.
Yeah, thank you, CEO. I know people are now awake. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'll start by, of course, saying that our MD was here yesterday, and he should have been around to present this on behalf of Kiwasco. However, I'm representing him. CEO mentioned that Kiwasco has been known of a delegated management model, and that is true. That is one of our best practices in managing non-revenue water, particularly in low-income areas. In my presentation, I might not touch on that. That is not me. Okay. My presentation will center on addressing commercial losses and aligned with, of course, deployment of advanced metering infrastructure. As a company, Kiwasco started its operation in 2003, and of course we took over from the municipal council. Then we used volumetric meters, which are mechanical. They were known as Kent meters. I think that is the brand name. And we used those meters until sometime up to 2016. Around 2016, we introduced various types of meters, electromagnetic flow meters, velocity meters, ultrasonic and prepaid meters. Of course, a lot has been said about electromagnetic flow meters in the morning, and probably in our case, we targeted commercial accounts, and one of the reasons is because of the cost of the capital cost, the CAPEX. We targeted commercial accounts in one of our areas to install the electromagnetic flow meters. And this was mainly to address issues which we were facing, particularly static meters, and of course, inaccuracy in our then very old meters, which were mechanical in nature. And of course, since EMS rotated parts, that helped us to address silt in one of our zones. So far, we have installed about 168 meters, and we have a target of 310. Of course, I know there are financials around, and we shall engage so that we can be able to target, to meet that target of 310. We've equally improved in our production meters. These are our bulk meters. You know, as my colleagues have said, non-revenue management, the input, the system input, if it is not accurate, then it means probably your values might not be accurate. Hence, we have done this in all our production meters in both our 2 plants. Those who have visited Kisumu, we have one at the lake and one at the river. This has helped us in terms of error management in the production meters, and it has reduced from 29% to about, you're moving too fast, I think I'll guide you. Just go back, please. Yeah, that's where I am. From 29% to 10%. And we chose the insertion meters because of ease of installations. As our biggest pipe, our main line is 24-inch, and it is very difficult at times to work on it. Next. Next, please. We've equally employed ultrasonic flow meters. These are smart meters, and of course they are remotely monitored. And the advantage is that we are able to read meters even if there are gate locks. We are able to, through analysis, detect manipulation of interference of those meters. And of course, that gives us more accurate data. We have piloted this in about 47 accounts in one of our DMS in Sabuni Road. This is a commercial area, and the result is as indicated, the non-revenue reduced in that DMA from 29.8% to about 11%, which is good, and we are still monitoring. And of course, billing was reflected, improved from about 16% in that DMA. Next. We have, of course, and this is a challenge to all water companies, the issue of stealing of metallic meters. And as a company, we have a policy. We have shifted to purely plastic meters to reduce issues of theft. And this, of course, affects non-revenue, because if a meter is stolen, probably you only notice in the morning, and by that time you have lost a lot of water, and of course that makes an increase in non-revenue water. So as Kiwasco, and I think many companies are doing this, we have gone fully plastic. When we started, there were no cases of theft, but so far, only a few plastic meters have been stolen, and we are wondering why are people even now stealing plastic meters. We have also deployed what we are calling velocity meters to manage issues on domestic and small commercial accounts. And this mainly, I would say, mainly in areas where we have a lot of statics, and that has reduced by around 37%. Next, please. My colleagues have talked about prepaid meters, and I think Liaison did a presentation here in the morning. We are engaging with them to pilot some of these technologies. And of course, we are still studying to adopt. We've done some work with Safaricom, a pilot which has taken about 8 months, and the results are impressive. And of course, I know we are going to engage further with Safaricom. They did a presentation here in the morning, so that we, of course, probably see a way of rolling it out in a bigger area. We've done something with Maji Milele. Unfortunately, they were not here in the morning, but is a project which is ongoing. Next. Just as Nyeri were our big brothers in non-revenue water management, we are equally accredited, and we have a lab. And of course, I know the WSPs in this region have been using our facilities, The rates are, as indicated, very friendly rates. And of course, we encourage our other brothers around, also in Rift Valley, to probably visit us so that you can get good services from our side. And finally, because of time, next. That's my final slide. And I think the challenge, bullet number 1 was properly addressed in the morning, the team which presented in the morning. Of course, it was said smart meters require huge capital investments. They are expensive, of course, to acquire and to maintain. There is need for capacity building so that once you install them, then you're able to, of course, sustain the heavy investment you've incurred in installing the smart meters. And of course, the third and last bullet speaks for itself. Of course, one will ask, how much is our non-revenue at the moment as Kiwasco? At end of third quarter, our average non-revenue was at 36. We unfortunately did badly. In second quarter, we were at about 28. But that is the challenge of non-revenue. Ours is not very steady, up and down, but we are working towards making it steady. Thank you.
Let's appreciate engineer once more. Thank you. Then finally, from the utility perspective, we can have Nanyuki get also the Nanyuki experience in terms of their management. Let's appreciate Bwana Irungwa as he comes. You have 10 minutes, eh? If I break it, it's 600 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, afternoon. I'm Joseph Irungu, the non-revenue water manager, Nanyuki Water. And as the slides come up, next one, I will give you a brief on Nanyuki Water. Water is a scarce commodity. That one we all know. To make it worse, Laikipia County is a scarce, is placed in a water scarce location in our geography in Kenya. To make it more worse, Nanyuki water is at the rearward side of the mountain. The rivers are drying. During the dry period, we hardly have drops to give. The boreholes, water quality is wanting. Where do we get this water to supply? Number one is either we go on high investment, we do dams in the mountain. We all know that's hard. Two, it's either we go far away to get the water where it's available. In this case, in the Aberdares, that is 65 kilometers away. And the last one, as a utility, we are using 4,500 cubic of water per day. That translates to around 9 million in a month. So it's either we go the latter way for now to reduce the non-revenue water. It is in this case that last year time like now, we were at 40% non-revenue water. As we speak now, we've put efforts, and our moving average for the month of May was 28%. Simtupe hongera kidogo. Today, I will not be going through the norms, but I will give 4 insights on kind of innovations that we are using to reduce non-revenue water and also to save on the coin that we can invest on other investments. We can push the slides. Yeah, that's our operation sustainability in a few. 32% metering ratio at 100 and O&M at 114. Next. That is our service, quality of service. We are supposed to cover 286 kilometers squares, 96% already served, and daily average supply of 12,760 meter cubic. Average supply hours is 23. So today I'll take you through 5 areas on reading practices. Number 1 is water level sensors. 2, adoption of WebGIS technology. 3, adoption of green energy. Step-by-step non-revenue reduction. And lastly, QR coding of customer meters. And we go directly to the first one, the water level sensors. This one, we did a partnership with Mombi Water. That's what we're using. Before, we used to have guys reading the tank levels. We have 14 storage tanks in different locations within our distribution system. And these guys could use the motorbikes in the morning, go read the levels. Sometimes they could even go and stand and listen to the tank, unasema hiyo level ya maji imefika mahali imefika. Then you report. So we came up with this technology where we adopted the use of water level sensors that are mounted in all our tanks, both in the distribution and the supply. This has, the device before contributed to high non-revenue water due to tank overflows, high O&M cost, high electricity bills, especially in Trukumba borehole where we do pumping, and uneven water distribution. What happened after implementing the water level sensors? 1, we were able to get the real-time data and on water availability. Then X-ray visualizing and analyzing of the water consumption, and we were able to track the tank levels real-time. Every other time the tanks are all, they're about to overflow, we usually get alerts. Then improved efficiency in water distribution, reduced non-revenue of course, and of course reduced in O&M cost reduction. Next, please. The GIS, our GIS is web hosted. Engineers are able to overlay their drawings for various projects and for sewer and pipelines. The non-revenue team are able to map the reads and bursts. And this one informs, if you are having reoccurring bursts in a certain area, you inform a decision maybe for pipe replacement or to check the pressures or the pipe materials that were used. The new connection team are able to identify pipeline and appurtenances details during new connections. Then there is the disconnection team are able to do proper routing, mapping during disconnection period. Meter readers are very key. They are able to locate the meters using their mobile phones. The next one is adoption of green energy. That we have 7 boreholes. 4 of them we have solarized them. And we have a case of Trukumba borehole, which produces around 600 meter cubic in a day. The initial average bill was around 250 K per month, and up there displayed power consumption pattern before and after. This was done in 2020, Feb 305, March 2017. It went down to around 40K. And this was sustained for some time. But now because of the dry season, the power bill have gone a bit up to around 50K, which is still favorable because now we had to increase the pumping hours when the sun is not up. Next. We have the step-by-step non-revenue reduction. This one is common in all our practices in the WSPs. This is where we're taking a small area with the availability of the funds instead of waiting for outsiders to come and help us. Then we do pipe replacement using HDP. We move now the customer meters to the outside the plot, and also sealing the meters and their replacement. Through this, we are able to do it in Ishuga, Ngei, Mountain View, the Ngido phase 1 and 2, and currently we are working in Asian quarters. These one have seen effects, like for example in Gay, this Gay had non-revenue over 60%. It is in CBD, had GI pipes, old, and some we didn't even know where they passed through. After the intervention, in December it went down to 25, and you can see in March to May, we've been able to sustain around 9%. Next, please. The last one area I will touch on is the QR coding, where we have our meter tagged using a QR code, that when you go using your mobile phone and scan the code, you are able to get the customer details. The meter reader is able to do the right reading. At the same time, you don't go painting customers' walls. In WASPA, we have a mantra that you say, make it happen, and that's the way to go. Thank you very much.
Let's appreciate engineer. Thank you, Bwana Irungu. Then finally, we have Bwana Moseti from Kenya Water Institute. Please, one round of applause for Bwana Moseti as he comes. Very exciting presentations, and we will be moving directly to plenary after this. I hope those issues that you flagged out, you'd want them addressed. They could be compliments. You don't necessarily need to ask a question. You can even give a compliment.
Thank you so much. My name is Moseti Walter from Kenya Water Institute. My presentation will be first touching on the project that my colleagues from the WSPs have talked in terms of good practices, and it is also pegged to the new NRW guidelines, because after realizing that the initial NRW standards that were there, the 4 documents, most of us were not making use of them. It necessitated the revision of those non-revenue water standards to 2 booklets, which we are now referring as the guidelines. That also necessitated WASREB to entrench some issues of non-revenue water into the licensing conditions to our WSPs. That has now forced us as KEWI to come up with another training so that we are going to address what WASREB is requesting from us as WSPs. I know they have not yet been launched, but they are going to be launched most likely very soon. And it's good you get to get these in advance so that you don't come to say we have been ambushed. Because what is WASREB saying? It is saying that the managers of the WSPs must go under these managerial training course, not the other one that we normally have for the normal operators for the activities, but for the purpose of managing non-revenue. At the same time, there are some things that they will be requiring us to post and deliver to the regulatory institution. So the training which I'm going to present is entailing what is entailed in that and who are eligible for that training, so that when you will be going for assessment with WASREB, you don't say this has not been done, and then as I complete it out, you will see how it is going to come out. So We are referring it as a new managerial training to manage non-revenue water, and the target group is the managers and the supervisors of the WSPs. We have already carried 3 trial training under the project before the JICA project came to an end last month with 3 WSPs, and then we have seen what the results are. Because most of us are asking, what is these 9 WSPs have done under this project that are positive, that we have not had a chance of also coming across them. So as KU, we have put all of them together and made it as a course which we are going to roll most likely from the next financial year. But you'll be getting that information. So kindly, please, we can go back to the results. When you get them, especially as managers, they will give us very clear indicators that we need to pick very fast and start working on the same. And then there is the universal monitoring sheet, and then finally the COBOL collect tool. Next. These are the requirements that WASREB has brought on board so that it monitors us as WSPs if we are within the track. So this I've just extracted from the WASREB's conditions that they've put across for us. Next is now the courses or the content of the course, where it has the 4 main areas. But if you go into the detail, like the first one, which is talking about the NRW, non-revenue water assessment and planning, inside it, it has some 5 sheets, which are Excel sheets, which are going to be now divided into issues of planning. In the issues of self-assessment, you assess yourself so that you know where are you, and then you plan where do you want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, and like so. Then in the meter reading, this has one of the tools that has transformed the 9 WSPs. If you can talk to them, they will tell you this analysis of meter reading has given them quite a good insight on what needs to be done very fast, and you reap out of the same. For example, once you've done this, it will just blink to you what meters are not read, which meters are estimated. How many times have they been estimated in 1 year? And then translate them into money. And this has done some miracles in these 9 WSPs. So that is also another thing that we will be taking you through and see how it is done. And then finally you come up with the results that you need to have out of the same. Then the third one is the universal monitoring this sheet. This one will be giving you the trends of your non-revenue issues, your production issues, and then you will be able to make some quick decisions on what do you need to do. And then the last one is in relation to reporting, recording, and making sure that some things are done very fast through our apps, instead of waiting to go to the office and then you start giving those assignments after you've reached the office. You can give instructions, you can give directives from wherever you are, because the information will be coming online immediately. You will be told something is happening somewhere. Take action there, and then you will be able to solve some of those problems. Next one, please. This one now have gone into the details of the 4 tools. I'm referring them as tools. What does each one entail? Like the first one, which I talked about, the planning template, as the issue of the annual review. It has the issue of the capacity self-assessment on what you do. And then planning part is also there. And then the review part is also entailed in the same. I know this will be given most likely in more details with our presenter from the JICA expert team, which I believe after our session is the one who is going to go through. And you will be seeing some results from the 9 WSPs that are quite impressive. Maybe the other thing to mention, since you will be given this, it will be shared. You'll look at the details of it. We also have the other operators. I normally call them operators, or the basic non-revenue water reduction course. This is for managers and supervisors. The other one is for the operators. These are the guys doing the activities in the field. I think out of the project, the way we were running the course, there was a lot of talk outside here that we are doing it too much theoretical. I think we improved that, where we now have a classroom training and then an on-job training in the field, doing the activities actual, until we come up with the results out of the same. And I think that has gone so well. It has helped most of the WSPs, and I would urge that send more people for the same. And for this one, let us finish planning it after we did the 3 trials, so that we are rolling it out from the next financial year. And we are planning, we roll it out in regions. In regions, why am I saying so? I'm saying in regions because we have a pilot WSP from each region. That is why they were subdivided to 9. So we would wish that during the training,
Your time is up.
thank you. During the training, the pilot WSP from your region will be part of us in training. At the same time, WASREB will be part of us in training, and then we will see how best that would go. Otherwise, thank you so much. Asante sana.
Let's appreciate Bwana Moseti. Thank you very much. We now transit to questions from the audience. After those wonderful, informative, educative presentations that have given us insights on different strategies that are deployed by utilities in managing their water losses. A set of questions, I can go for 5. Question number 1. So number 1 is here, number 2. Mark them, that's number 1. I have number 2, Wario, number 3. Question number 3 here, MD Machakos. Number 4, I have Ronald. Question number 5. The last one. Hii area sijaona. Question moja itoke huko. Na kama utauliza question takunominate to ulize. Fair. I don't want to make my threat real. So question number 5. So question number 1, and with specificity to which presenter, that would save us.
My name is James Gedige from Mandera Water. My question goes to Meru. You talked of using around 60 meters to reduce the NRW, and to my understanding, there are more accurate meters in the market. Please clarify.
So question number 2. Kindly introduce yourself. Thank you for the compliment and the comment. Now, question number 2 from number 3. Where is number 3?
Okay, thank you. My name is Winfred Mbai, Machakos Water. Allow me to appreciate the presenters for the insightful presentations. Mine goes to Nyawasco first. You talked of proper disconnection. If maybe you can highlight to you what is proper disconnection as relates to Nyawasco. My second one goes to Mewasco. One, you can describe your non-revenue water team, how it looks like. And then second, how do you link the unit with the various functions of the company to ensure that they seamlessly feed into each other and that there is no gap? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, with question number 3. I hope you are noting the questions. We will give you time to respond. It was Ronald. Kindly give him a microphone. Then we have a last one here from Nyaururu.
Thank you. My name is Ronald Kubasu, Gasby Africa. My first question, I think, goes to Meru. I think it is impressive to see that just replacement of meters led to an increase in billing of 16,000 cubic meters per month. So it would be interesting to see how that correlated with revenue as a result. And by extension, the O&M cost coverage. My second question goes to Kewi, and I think it's good to see that we are, based on the lessons that we're learning from the industry, we're coming up with courses that are tailor-made to address the challenges that the country or the sector is facing. Perhaps it would be interesting to get to know how much are you envisaging to charge for the course, and maybe to WASPA through the CEO, if that will be manageable, affordable by the water service providers. And then the other thing, looking at the tools, I think one of the tools you have highlighted is the one of billing analysis and meters. So it will be interesting in view of the discussion that we had today, if this analysis is already envisaging also the aspect of smart metering and how utilities will be supported alongside that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. The final one here from Nyaururu. And in the interest of time, we will wrap our discussion around those 5 questions. Unless there's a burning one, I can go for set 2. Let me see that one that is creating fire in your stomachs. You can't carry it home.
Thank you, CEO. My name's Paul Mudhami from Nyahuru Water. My question is directed to Mr. Irongo, Nanyuki Water. I would like to understand what was the impact of QR coding on NRW? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I take the 5. Unless there is it's creating fire in your belly, you can't stomach it. You want it out. For the first time, second time, third time, we go for 5 questions. Now, the issue of governance, we agree that water is a crisis of governance. If you fix governance, then you fix the crisis. Now, Nyeri spoke of, and Mr. Wario is asking, do we have concurrence that the first thing utility deal with our governance and cultural issues? You can go ahead and ask and answer the question is, what is meant by proper disconnection?
Thank you, CEO, and we appreciate the questions. We'll start with governance. Yes, we agree. From our perspective, the issue of governance at Kachachid is quite critical, because if you don't have the proper governance means you may not be able to perform, and that is even from the presentation I made, governance was the first success factors. It's the way institutions are run, and they should be run above board. Also, the aspect of culture change is very important. By the end of the day, as much as we may deploy a lot of the technology, we have the employees, we have the staff who are quite critical to perform the duties so importantly. And you know, from where we are coming from, there's that aspect of saying, so there's a lot of culture change, and to ensure that people change attitude to how they do their duties. So I would agree that the focus should be quality on that as much as we employ technology. From the Machakos, then the proper disconnection, and how I can put it, in fact, it would be even be better not to disconnect at all, because it is costly, it takes time, you spend money, you spend resources. But when you do it properly in terms of quality workmanship, so that you don't allow leakages. Then again, as much as you do it, you also ensure it is not possible, it's not easy for the consumer to reconnect him or herself. Probably that is how I would put it, proper disconnection. Then there is also the aspect of monitoring. You don't just disconnect and go away. You should be interested to see the customer has come or the customer has paid or such. Thank you.
Thank you. For Mary, you have a list of questions on meter replacement. You talked about, and also have to describe what is the team and how does it fit into the structure of the organization to allow seamless operations.
Thank you. The first question I'll take will be about the meters, R160. Of course, there are other meters which are higher rated, are 200, are 315, and so forth. I've actually seen are 500 displayed somewhere here by some of the earlier presenters. So before we settled on R160, we first of all sampled the meters. We got a few, we brought them back with us. We tested them under different conditions. We checked, does the meter, will it survive in the water conditions we have, the environment we have? We also tested the meter, very, very basically. Portable meter testing kit and a bucket test. We decided that the meter operates optimally. It operates within an error rate of, actually I would say plus 2 minus 1. That's where most of the meters range, 99 to 101%. After that, we decided that was the meter for us. We decided to roll it company-wide as the meter we will be using going on forward. The issue of replacement, as a company, you have GIS data, it has a lot of attribute data. You can tell a certain connection was connected, you have year what and year what, you can tell how old that meter is, you can tell what sort of a meter it is. Of course, when the company started back way in 2003, 2004, we were not using volumetric meters, we used single jets and pistons. So basically what we did, we came up with a list of all our consumers. We did a billing analysis. I did it 3 years back. 3 years back, I identified all the consumers and then I categorized them from C1 all the way to C7. From C1, I went through the serial numbers. All meters have different serial numbers. For example, the ones we're using now have H19. The single jets, I know they start with 99 or 102. So I printed the list. I identified all the meters which didn't have volumetric and you consumed above 50 cubic meters. We went about replacing all those meters, basically phasing them out of our system. We still have a few more left to do. Next financial year, we will keep going at it until we are done. Next question is about the NRW team. I think you mean the task force, right? So basically this task force, it's made up of all section heads from the entire company. That's production, O&M, NRW, the planning and engineering officer, the billing section, the head of billing, the head of meter reading. We also thought it would be prudent to bring in the head of procurement, since they are directly related to NRW. So at the end of, basically, when we started, we used to meet at the end of every month. Our NRW last month was 17%. This month it's 22%. What has happened? Production was low, hence billing was low. So we tried to find out why production was low. If there isn't a valid reason which we can solve, we made sure that the section head, we cascaded it to the management. When the CEO starts calling you and asking you why you're not producing enough water, you tighten up your laces, everyone starts working. How it started was, the reason how we started the meeting was this. We started getting a lot of complaints that the customer connections, every time they did a connection, it got repaired by the O&M people. They came, they said enough is enough, we'll not be doing this. So we went to find out what was the problem. We found out one. There were 1 or 2 characters who had gone lax. We have SOPs. Always bury the pipeline 1.2 meters below the ground level. They were not doing that. We also had another problem. I think we discovered we had gotten a bad batch of, what do we call them? We had gotten a bad batch of materials. So we decided to replace all that, phase out the supplier who brought that batch of materials. After that, it became prudent. We can meet and discuss this. It also stems from the way you look at NRW. Every month at the end, we used to look at NRW. Why has it gone up? Why has it gone down? Billing has gone up, so NRW was lower. Production had gone down, NRW was higher, or it was lower. Like, as soon as you start looking for solutions to those questions, I think it will help improve. There was a last question about linkage to improvement in billing and O&M cost coverage. Of course, this year internally we've realized that there has been an increase in billing through the universal monitoring sheet mentioned by Mosetti, developed by JICA. I'm able to comfortably tell we sell water at 57 shillings on average. Everyone, if you divide the amount of water and the money we've billed, it's averagely 57 shillings. So from that, I am able to tell we've increased, from the meters we've changed, we've increased the billing by money-wise, averagely by 900,000 per month. That's a lot of money which can recuperate the cost in which we have undergone to replace the meters. Linkage to O&M cost coverage, of course, I think we will do better this financial year. But we haven't yet submitted the report, so I can't really tell, but of course I'm sure there will be an upward trend compared to the last financial year. Thank you.
Thank you. Nanyuki, what is the magic behind the QR coding? Use this sanitized one. COVID is still with us.
Okay, thank you, Nyahuru, for the question, the impact of QR coding on non-revenue water management. The impact is minimal but cannot be avoided. Non-revenue water involves data management that starts every month with the meter reader going to read the meter, and by the act of the reading the meter, either manually, remotely, it ends up in a bearing system. You go to some flats, you find there are 40 meters. 40 meters in one chamber. What happens? If he reads the wrong account, then the problem starts there. So by having the QR code, the fund starts there. At the same time, we need to take care of our customers. When we go and you find in a building arrows written, account maybe 16001 starting from here to here, we are kind of making their buildings agree. When we disconnect the wrong customer and the customer come complaining, at the same time, we are disturbing their comfort. So QR coding is more of improving process efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Kewi, let me give you this one. And you give us your parting shot.
Thank you.
So prepare also for a 30 seconds parting shot.
Thank
as
you.
we conclude this discussion.
Thank you. I think the questions that were asked on behalf of my presentation. There was the issue of tailor-made course. I think we are normally very open. We would tailor-made a course for you, so long as you give us the areas you would want be touched on, because it is you first of all to initiate. What do you want and what do you want to be emphasized? Then we can tailor-made that course for you. And there are quite a number of courses, not necessarily non-revenue, but even others that can also complement non-revenue water issues, including the use of equipments to reduce non-revenue. There are issues of meter reading. There is the issues of meter management and all that. The issue of the cost. I think you know our courses normally go for, if you are to come to Kewi, I think if it is non-residential, it is normally a standard fee of 22,500 for 5 days course. If you are going to reside in Kewi, which I normally see most of the guys don't like that, they like to be free. After they have finished the business of learning, then if you would want to reside in Kewi, we normally charge 30,000 for a 5 days course. Most of our courses go for 5 days, including this test course that we've done on this particular one. With those 3, we wanted to see, is this time enough? What is needed? Is A, B, C, D. And then, we haven't come up with that exact cost, but if you were to come to Kewi, I think the charges will not change. But that other way that we are also thinking, doing it at regional areas, then most likely there might be some differences in the costing, which I think once I'm back there, because I've not been there for the last 2 weeks, once I go back, that is one thing that we'll finish up with, and I think that information can be shared to the WSPs, even if it means through WASPA. We can give that information to WASPA and they take it through. Or they bring it to you. The issue of smart metering, in terms of our training, I think it is something that we have picked very well, and it is also included in our new reviewed courses. What we've done with our courses, I I know we have not given out the calendar for July, December, because we are looking at it in terms of reviewing it before we put it out for you. And then the issue of the tool of billing analysis, let me not talk so much about it because I know the JICA expert team is going to, as he's giving his presentation, I know he will be going more into the details. But what I can assure you from the 9 WSPs, it is something that was very, very important under the project that has just ended. And it has triggered quite a number of very good, small things that we may be assuming, but they are critical and they change the issue of non-revenue in our WSPs.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. 30 seconds, a parting shot.
I'll urge all the WSPs that non-revenue reduction is more of a teamwork, and by upholding those simple technologies and targeting the low-hanging fruit, we can make it. So let's save every drop because it counts. Thank you.
Thank you. I think for me, I want to say that learning best practices in non-revenue management, I think this is important, and I'm happy that we do lots of benchmarking amongst ourselves as WSPs, and I think this should continue. I'm also impressed that the private sector, manufacturers, and also the people providing funds are in the room, and I think together we can make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer.
Well, I would like to encourage the WSPs. It's possible to reduce NRW. You just need to know what you need to do, work on it. Everyone's case is different. You may have to deal with things your way you are differently. There is a lot of material out there, read. There's a lot of knowledge out here among your peer WSPs, among the presenters we've had. Like, pick something up from them, go implement it, see what happens. It's very possible if we work hard, support each other, work as a team, make sure that your top management is with you, your board is with you, everyone is with you. I'm sure it's possible. Like, just go try it. It will work. Don't just think that it's not possible, like, we have to reroute a lot of pipeline. Don't start big, just start small. There's no need for you to go start buying bulk meters if your pipelines are interlooped. They will not help you. Start working from the basics. Pick something up, work on it, move on to the next one, and I'm sure it will work out. It will work out. Just start working on it. NRW reduction, it's quite expensive. I was averaging doing 15 DMAs bulk meters. That's a meter costing averagely 150,000. That's 1.5 million. You haven't done chambers. You haven't done good pipelines. Just find out exactly what can work for you, because you need to generate more revenue to handle non-revenue water. Work on it, and I'm sure you will start enjoying the results very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Engineer.
Thank you. Briefly, sorry, to agree with my colleagues, NRW is everybody's business. And as much as probably we say the unit or the department is domiciled in technical division, it cuts across, and each stakeholder, each player has a role to play. Even the way we partner with the communities, the other stakeholders in terms of communication, reporting is very important. So it's about promptness. How fast do you move? Do you also embrace benchmarking to see how others are doing to ensure that at least you improve? Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't we appreciate the presenters, panelists? I've not allowed them to move. I want to summarize, take home a number of issues coming out, and it is succinctly clear that one, we can't do without good governance. This is captured in our Constitution 2010, Article 6, subsection 2, which provides a gamut of the principles of good governance, from transparency, accountability, sustainability. That is number one. And there is national consensus that the crisis of water is not the crisis of water itself, it's a crisis of governance. So you fix the governance, and the governance structures are very clear. You have the shareholders, You have the board of directors, how are they recruited? Then you come to the top management, how are they recruited? You come to the other senior management and the other staff, including the NRW unit. Then benchmarking, this one I found it cutting across, that is peer-to-peer learning for what we are calling collective learning. You have to check what your peers in the industry are doing and also look at the set benchmarks. Are we operating within the set benchmarks? If not, what have others done to solve the problems that we are facing? So that is cutting across. One thing that came out and was standing is that the need of having teams in NRW. Under our working program, it is very clear that you need to form it with very specific and clear functions. Of course, you know, when there is role ambiguity, it is a source of stress. You don't, from the billing or who from the commercial department or technical, so find there is conflict. So you need to have this unit within the organizations anchored well with very clear reporting lines. And if there are no clear reporting lines, that is where you have the hell. So teams. The other issue that came out is meter calibration, meter servicing, meter replacement, and also the metering rate. And remember, under the 9 KPI of what in terms of ability, we have non-revenue. We also have metering ratio. It stands out. So do you have a metering policy? What is the policy on meter replacement? Or the meter that was installed when the company was formed is the same meter that you are using up to now? Have you looked at its efficiency? What is your calibration ratio or period? Do you do it after 2 months, after 1 year, or it is never done? Then the issue of zoning, we are calling them district metered areas. And depends. You can also have pressure metered areas, zoning and sub-zoning. Fundamentally, we move to leakage management. You also have to identify your leaks. Where are they? Like you are being told by Meru. Which pipes are responsible for what percentage of? Remember the Pareto principle, 80-20. You find that it is 20% of your customers that contribute to 80% of your revenue. Then you find that it is 20% of your pipelines that produce 80% of your non-revenue. Pareto principle, very, very important. Then illegal connections management. How do you manage your illegal? You have captured somebody with an illegal connection. Do you spend your time in court with unsolved cases? This guy needs water. You have disconnected this guy, you are in court, and is losing on revenue. So this is very, very important. Big data, data analytics. I listened to Meru, PDCA, plan, do, check, action. This is still monitoring and evaluation. Listening to Kewi, you look at it, Kobo toolkit, all these things is just data analytics, analysis of data. Meter reading and billing also data. So data analytics is very, very important. In terms of collection of data, you are reading what is the frequency. If it is on daily basis and it is at 8 a.m., maintain 8 a.m. Singine mesomwa 8, kesho inasomwa 7, saa 10. Those are the issues, the standard operating procedures. So very important, the issue of partnerships. You realize you can't solve non-revenue water alone. You need the tech company. Are you in partnership? Also, you to be having financing. You need financials, and they are here in the room. And that was the object of this. Technology, look at Kisumu. Assortment, different types of meters, and those that do not work with those that works, like ultrasonic flow meters. The technology is also applied in Nyuki, meter sensors, the sensors for water level. Unaambia mtu, ebu kimbia panda kwa hiyo tank. Iko level gani? Then the guy can even fall into the tank. Or the guy estimates, he comes and kicks the tank. It is down there. Sensor will tell you the volume, and it will also tell you the level. So you are sure. Like I visited the Eldoret plant and this is what I was doing. From Chebara, they have a tank somewhere here. So they need to deploy. So it will be able to tell you if you are at Chebara, do we continue pumping or do we reduce our pumping? It's very important rather than somebody to check. It also wastes time, it is efficient among others. That is just an example, but to learn. Quality of materials, very. So you make a decision, do we continue using PVC, which class? Very important, you need to define this. HDPE, very, very important. And specifications. As WASPA, we have developed this in terms of the guidelines, and we are improving them on meters. We are now reviewing, and it will be shared with you tonight to incorporate smart meters, and also on the quality of materials. So I think, to me, that is part of the take-home, but you have to agree with me that this has been a very robust discussion, and it now covers NRW 101 is complete. We were not just looking at AMI, but we have also learned what other strategies, and if you follow. I just picked what was cut across, but there are others that are specific to a utility because of your uniqueness, different from the others. Finally, let's appreciate the team, please. Then we will have a photo. The moderator and his team. Alafu mtupigie makofi. Songeni hapa mbele. A good photo shoot, please. I think I was very strategic when I was allocating this session 1.5 hours, and that is what it has exactly taken. Now, as we move towards the tail end of this discussion, we have agreed that we have to change the time. There's a presentation that is being made now, and the person making it is Vincent. So I'll just ask your indulgence. We are not going to take more. It's for the two present. I don't know why. The battery. Can I be given another mic, please, if this one is, and so that the technical team can check the battery. So the civil society also has a voice in terms of management of NRW. It is not just the deployment of technologies, but at times you need people to shout what is happening, especially on illegal connections, cartel, among other things. You need a strong voice. And that is why I want to take this opportunity to invite Bwana Vincent Ouma, the head of programs at KEWASNET, to tell us about the role of civil society, NGOs and CBOs in water loss management. We have agreed 15 minutes, not more, but it could be less. So after that, we'll have the final presentation on meter reading and billing analysis by one JICA expert, Bwana Charles Maingi, who I believe is in the room. So as soon as we are done with the 30 minutes, we will transit now to the health break. Let me assume we should be breaking by around 5:30, let's say 5:35 there. Then we can go. Then we will be back here by, let's say, 7. We agree we are back by 7? In all white. All white. So if you can't maintain all white or a white, nobody will stop you from coming. Wengine wanasema, wamesema sasa kama sina white sitakula dina. Kuje ukule kabisa. Kwani nguo itakuzuia kutafuna? Unatafuna tena umeze tena uongeze kitu ukunywe kabisa. Hakuna kitakuzuia, but that is the dress code. So wengine walikuwa wamejitoa, don't, please. It's a requirement, but it's not a necessity. It's not a matter of do and die. It is just how we thought it should look like. It's a side of peace in the water sector. Vincent, kindly appreciate Vincent as he comes. Do we have a rapporteur in the room? Who is taking the notes? Ah, great.
All right. Thank you very much, Bwana CEO. I'm happy to be back here in a different capacity. So now that I was pushing people to manage time, I'll also try to manage mine so that I do not take too much time, because mine is more of just sharing some thoughts on what we think should be the, or is the role of civil society organizations, the NGOs, CBO, as far as water loss management is concerned. This will take you a little bit away from what you've been hearing, you know, the meters, the smart meters, land revenue, water, the infrastructure, IoT, and all that, to, you know, just the general things that happen while you're at the companies, what happens within the communities, and what happens at management level, you know, the policymakers, the government, the rest of the consumers. What usually happens as you deal with the meters, as you supply them with water, because I understand that most of us here are from water companies, and the tech companies, the telcos, the communication companies, and all that. But then we go beyond that when it comes to the civil society organizations. So very key things that I think, or that we think that we have been contributing as far as water loss management is concerned. One of them is governance. As we've always said, the issue of the crisis of water, a big percentage of it lies within governance of the thing. There's the issue of resource mobilization and funding. You know, we talk about the NGOs. Behavior change, and I'll be speaking more about that. And then the duty bearers and the rights holders. You know, the government and the consumer and whoever else is in between, sometimes do they have opportunity to meet and have a dialogue? Do they even know each other? I think we'll be seeing that. So straight on to governance. Like we said, it is governance being mainly how things are managed, you know, how the affairs of your organizations are managed. This is government, this is the water utilities, this is, you know, the NGOs, this is the civil society, and everybody that is involved. The civil society has been very key as far as developing, you know, governance models are concerned. The enabling environment, which usually supports how you govern your utilities and how, you know, government operates and all that. Corporate governance models, we are talking about WASPA coming up with guidelines, you know, for, say, rural water supply guidelines, the corporate governance and all that. These are things that we have worked with them. The civil society has funded some of these things so that when they come to us or when they come to you, they have been refined. Some of them have been tested in different areas or different places. When you talk about the Water Act 2016, the Water Act 202, we are talking about the Water Policy 2021 right now, which is out by the National Water Policy. All these documents that support our governance, how we behave within the sector, they have been developed or they were supported by the civil society, by the various NGOs that you know, and therefore they spell out the framework through which we work. And these are very key documents that we all need to refer to. Just recently, we had what we call the water regulations 2021, if you remember, last year. These regulations happened to come out during the time when COVID was at its peak. And there were things that had been suggested there by the ministry, and if you remember, KWASNet, we called out to the government and asked them that, you know, the rates that you're putting for water abstraction are quite high. And at the end of the day, this is going to be passed down to the consumer. And it's going to be heavy, and especially during this time of COVID. And we are happy, actually, the Ministry of Water listened to us. We summoned them through the, you know, the Committee on Water, Environment in Parliament. And we had a discussion. We didn't need to go far. We discussed, and this was sorted, although many people may not have known. And then later, I think the regulations were passed. So that has happened, and that is some of the role that people play. Resource mobilization and funding, and you realize that I put there some very key photos to provoke your thoughts. On the first slide, I put a photo of you know, a toilet, a disability-friendly toilet, and then this is in one of the informal settlements. This is supposed to be toilet, and if you check on the other side of the toilet, you will see your infrastructure, the pipes, passing through there in some of the photos. So what happens in these places? You know, you're talking of safeguarding the meters, safeguarding the infrastructure, safeguarding all the investments that you put in these particular places. But how is that done? There's a behavior that we have observed that I will be talking about shortly. But in resource mobilization, I think there's the issue of key funding. I mean, funding, like the Kenya Pooled Water Fund, you know, just to cover the financing gap that we've had. There are other models that have been around, you know, like the Keship model to support just sanitation issues and access to water. Most of you, I think you understand organizations or maybe programs like WASPA that you've worked with, or they've supported some of these companies, you know, to access funding from microfinance institution. I think in the morning I saw Engineer Kenya here. He presented some of the issues that they went through when they were trying to access funding, and they were supported by one of these programs. So the donor funding that comes into the sector, the grants, the various loan facilities are done by you know, our donors, CSOs, the NGOs, and all that, and we think this is a good thing. Now, behavior change and management. And I think what I've heard within this session, there's a lot to do with the issue of behavior. And to us, this is the behavior of both the consumer, the behavior of the policymaker, the behavior of government. Now, you've talked about theft, people stealing meters, you know, the legal connections, vandalism, and all these things that are happening within community. If you look at that photo, there's a pipe that is almost going through the door. And this photo we picked somewhere. This is an infrastructure. Actually, during COVID, NMS was putting up tanks to supply water within the informal settlements. So what happened? Somebody fenced off that area that NMS had put up a tank, and they made it their place. So that means that nobody else can access the water except them. So what is happening to the behavior of our consumers? And what is happening at government level, you know, the policy makers? We have what we call the collaborative behaviors that we use within the sector. You know, we talk of enhanced government leadership, strengthen use of systems, you know, the systems that you're talking about, the smart meters and all this. We ask governments to increase budgets and funding towards these issues. The use of information, the data that you will be collecting from the smart meters. Government can use this, and we have always been asking them to use this. Back on the consumers, there are some issues we've observed within the community. what you call consumers, especially within the urban centers. And often we ask the water companies that we have worked with, do you take time sometimes to visit these areas and see what is happening? The spaghetti pipes within the informal settlements, we've seen so many of this. The legal connections, we've seen so many of this. And recently, in a study that we did, there's something we discovered called sextortion in urban settlements. This is basically women and girls are being violated when they go to access water or wash facilities. The water vendors are taking advantage of them. Some of them are raped. Some of them are touched inappropriately and all this. Then we ask, you as the water companies, you know, the kiosks through which you supply water, the infrastructures that you put in place, do you know what is happening within those communities? I think it would be important for us to step out of, you know, our offices and check that what is happening within the communities, because we have seen this, and these are really weird behaviors that are happening out there around water facilities that we may not know, and we would want this to be addressed. On government, there's also a behavior that we observed. You're talking about non-revenue and people paying their bills. So there are some studies that we did, and we found that a good number of government institutions are not paying their bills. And usually we are not afraid of talking about this. Prisons and such places are not paying their bills. And I think you as water companies, you know, and you know these struggles. So these are the things that we are talking about. We try to work with government so that these behaviors can change. And finally, we are talking about the interface between the water companies, the policy makers, and the people that you serve. We encourage that the water companies, can we create forums where your customers can talk to you, where you can interact with your customers, same to government, policy makers, and the people that we work with. Do you have forums where, in the last slide, the previous slide, kindly, there are these women who are fetching water, if you look at that slide. Do they even know their rights as far as water is concerned? Do they know how much you charge? Do they know which number to use if they want to talk to you as the water company? So we want there to be that interface so that there's the efficient service and people are able to access water facilities. So the final slide, the question I'm asking today is that where do we go from here? So being 2022, we are piloting the smart meters. We want to reduce the non-revenue and all that. Are we going to have a phase very soon where this smart metering, reducing non-revenue, is going to be adopted at a large scale? That question was asked here, that majority is being piloted, but nothing is being picked, or just very little is being adopted. Are we going to have a time where adoption happens at a large scale? Are we going to have a time where upscale will be done so that we see this across the country, not just in Eldoret or in a few places? And by 2030, are we going to have a situation whereby at least 80% of our communities have access to water and sanitation? I think we have the answers here, and these are things that I would like us to think about, and I want to thank you very much. Bwana CEO.
One more round of an applause to Vincent. Thank you. Well put. And I can allude to the fact that we have been working together, even in terms of pushing government on national television. We open our eyes and look government into the eyes. Are you able to look government into the eye and tell, guys, you're not paying, you need to pay? Then the government looks at you, who is this that is talking? So you're not paying your bills. Now, finally, let's have Bwana Maingi to do his presentation for the 15 minutes. Tomorrow is a half-day session. It's not a long one. It's matters financing. That is what we are coming to talk here tomorrow. So it's half day. So the earlier we come, you have to convince me that I need to scale down the moderation of the tail on top of the gala. Otherwise, other people may not wake up. That would be my concern. I can leave it free for all, but would we wake up and be in time? So that is question, but I'm talking to mature people who can control themselves, because it is you that measure yourself. I was a student leader in the university one day, and somebody came, he was being dragged. He couldn't move. So the watchman asked, was he drinking himself or somebody alikuwa anamunywesha? Alikuwa anakunywa ama alikuwa ananyweshwa? Because he couldn't even walk. But I don't think we'll go to that extent. Why don't we applaud Bwana Maingi? But it's going to be a very good night, and I believe that that will not stop us from, I'll persuade you that we be here at 8:30. As many as of the opinion say aye, as many as of the contrary opinion say nay. So we will close early. We may not go beyond 10. So, and if there is justification, then we would retreat to other areas. But we want to start early, so let us start at 7, have our meals, then we can go into social networking, because the gala dinner part of presentation will be very small. We are going to ensure that talking is only 10% of the gala dinner, but the majority will be feasting and also drinking. Thank you. Another microphone, please. Maingi tells me he will take 15 minutes.
So
I think after his presentation, we will be free now to move out.
can I? Okay, sawa. Saa hii ama baadaye? Saa hii ama baadaye? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Yeah, my name is Maingi Charles. I was a member of the JICA expert team, and we were undertaking a project on non-revenue water reduction in 9 pilot water service companies within the country. And we were working closely with other institutions, namely WASREB, where we are also involved in the revision of the non-revenue water management guidelines. We've also worked closely, of course, with the ministry, and also with WASPA, we can forget, and finally with KEWI. So the new courses that my colleague, Mr. Mosetti, was talking about, we are the people who develop these new tools, and they are the tools that WASREB is also adopting. So the 9 pilot WSPs we've been working with, namely Meru, Embu, Nakuru, Nyahururu, Kisumu, Ruirujuja, Eldoret, Mavoko, and Kilifi, Mariakani. So in my slides, I really want to dwell on one of them, which is the meter reading and billing analysis. And before I go to that, of course, we know that a lot is being done to tackle non-revenue water, and mainly the blame is shifting to the technical side. So it's like non-revenue water is a function of the technical department. But what is happening with the commercial department? What are we doing? A lot of activities are geared towards the physical loss reduction. But when it comes to commercial losses, I don't know whether we are naive on that or we really are not doing much. So the theme of today's training is mainly on commercial losses. Of course, we know that non-revenue water, as I said, is a component of two, physical and commercial. But as I said, I want to dwell with the commercial aspect. So when we talk of commercial, we start with quantifying errors. And this is where the meter comes in. We cannot talk of errors without mentioning the meters. So, of course, when we talk of meter management, we talk of issues like meters that are not functioning, aged meters, over-registering and under-registering meters. And of course, we have oversized meters, meters that were not properly installed, and so on and so forth. The list is endless. So that takes us to our next slide. And how do we manage these meters? Of course, we all know the purposes of metering. One, and the key thing where we are here today, is to produce revenue. And in this case, more revenue to manage our utilities and operate them. The second one, of course, is to see to it that all customers are equitably charged. And of course, we need to manage the limited resource, in this case, water. So, next slide, please. As we were doing the trainings in our pilot WSP, we discovered that there is a need, number one, with the formulation of the departments. Most of the WSPs used to have ad hoc non-revenue water units. So you would find that whenever they hear that JICA team is coming, so instructions are given. So you and you go and say you're members of non-revenue. So we would go and train them. But come the next training, they would forget who are the members in the previous. So they would ascertain other new members. So we realize that there is need to have a department that is well formulated and anchored within the unit's organogram. That is the WSP's organogram. So under this unit, somebody asked a question about the formulation of the unit, and to try and answer that, I will refer you to the new revised non-revenue water management guidelines. They can be found in the ministry's portal or the JICA's portal. Or you can see me after this, I can share them with you. So in this regard, and in the interest of time, what is this tool we are calling the meter reading and billing analysis? Next slide, please. We are saying that it's simply a tool that we developed to assist WSPs to reduce their commercial losses by analyzing their meter reading and billing data, especially focusing on the estimated consumptions. As I said, there is no known entry point of how to handle commercial losses. So with thought of consumptions that are estimated, if I was to ask a quick question, do we estimate in our respective WSPs? Do we? So what do you think on average is the average estimation rate within your WSPs? Ever thought of it? We know that we estimate due to a couple of factors. The ones we named: stopped meters, buried meters. Some have accounts that don't even have meters. So, what do you think is the rate of estimation? Maybe MD Nyeri. What would you say is the rate of estimation in Nyeri water? Yeah. Minimal. 20, 80, 90, 10, 90, 10, 5, 5, or 95, 5. Thank you, and we hope so. So the main purpose, we wanted to see, and this was the starting point, what is the estimation of percentage in the various WSPs that I mentioned? So the same question we used to post it to them, and they would all give very positive results. 80-20, 90-10, 95-5, and they are here. Some of them are witnesses. So, as I said, why did we decide to conduct this? One is to study the estimation, that is how the estimation is being carried out. Since we know we have estimation, how is it being carried out? That is what criteria is being used. Is it an average of the past 3 months consumption? Is it an average of the 6 months, or it's ad hoc? The second question is, what is the frequency of estimating? Like, how many times is a customer being estimated within a certain time frame? And finally, it was to assist the WSP to classify their customers based on their consumption trends. Like, for instance, how many customers within your respective WSPs do you have consuming over 300 and above cubic meters? Food for thought. So, if we need to tackle our commercial losses, we need to answer such questions. Next slide, please. So, components of this, I will be very quick. One, of course, all we need is your billing data, your monthly billing data over a certain span of time, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Then we need a sheet with the master data, and then from it, we compute what we call the summary data. I'll show them. So under the data requirements, we require the current readings, the previous readings, the billed values, the metered consumption. And of course, meter sizes and the customer names. Can we tell the difference between the metered consumption and the billed consumption? Or the difference is the same? Of course, the metered consumption is simply what the meter records. That is the difference between the current and the previous readings. The billed consumption is what was billed inclusive of the estimations. So, next slide, please. I want to show a summary sheet of the estimations in one of our WSPs. In this case, as I said, I'll give an example of Nakuru Water. From what you can see, we did the analysis of 21 months. That is close to 2 years. So what we do, we just pop into the WSP, collect their billing data, and go and analyze it. So within that span of 21 years, that is 21 months, sorry, they had an average of 42,000 connections, which formed 100%. You can see the bottom right. Sorry, don't have the cursor with me. So this means that out of the 42,000 accounts, we need to see how much is being estimated, how much is the billing on estimation within the WSP. So the zero at the very top indicates accounts that were billed on actual values. That is, no estimation was undertaken within, or no estimation occurred within the 21 months. 1 means estimation happened once within the 21 months. S means 2 or more times, 2 to 5 times, and M means estimation happened between 5 and above. That is many times. So, and you can see on the left, we are also able to categorize their customers based on their consumption. That is, we came up with 6 categories as they appear on the tariff. Category 1, those customers who consume over 300 cubic meters and above, all the way to category 6, those who consume 0 to 6. So, after we posed the same question, they told us that they bill 80-20. 80% being billed on actual values and 20% on estimation. But after undertaking the analysis, the results were shocking. Because from this you can see only 30% is what they were billing on actual readings, meaning 70% is on estimation. Again, the question comes back to you. How much do you think is your estimation percentage? Because if this is a trend, and indeed it is, because among the 9 pilot WSPs, the best performing was at 52%, meaning it was only billing 52 on actuals and 48 on estimation. So these results come as a shocker because, like in the first category, if you walk with me the very top, sorry, don't have the controls of the mouse. You can see that after categorization, sorry, back to the previous slide, kindly. Yes, this one. The first category, you can see out of 42,000 accounts, they have 105 accounts who bill 300, who consume 300 and above cubic meters. These are mainly institutions, schools, hospitals, and so to name. They are what the CEO was talking about, the 30% of our accounts, which give us 70% or 80% of our billing. So they fall under what we are calling the very large category, the very large and large categories. So the second thing these guys did after getting these results, they decided to now start working and change that trend. So what they did a sample of some of the major accounts which they were billing on estimation and decided to do a very simple thing. Simply a change of the meter if the meters were stopped, or servicing the stopped meters. And this is just a brief analysis of 22 accounts. We have the before, what they used to bill before that, and after changing the meter. And mind you, this is an average of 3 months. So you can see the variance on my extreme right. So out of 22 accounts only, they were able to double their billing. And mind you, this is the billing in terms of volume, not in Kenyan shillings. To translate it into Kenyan shillings, multiply by the tariff. So, for instance, if the tariff is 100 Kenyan shillings, if you multiply the variance times 100, you can see how much they got from the 22 accounts. This is an increase of close to 355,000 in only 22 accounts. What about 100 and 1,000? So, from the different categories, you can see how the billing went on increasing, because from the analysis, they were able to prioritize and work on the large consumers alone. And this, in turn, gave them the results they desired, because there was a shift in increase of both the billing values and also the revenue collected. So a good example of where we are is Eldoret. Eldoret, we started working with them in 2017. And you can see from the very top, they used to bill only 31% on actual values, meaning 69% was on estimation. But by the time the project was ending, they had translated that from 31%, this changed to 87%. So what does this imply? They were able to increase their billing and collection by 39 million Kenyan shillings in a month by simply working on the billing analysis. So this requires little or no investment. All you need is the tactic of how to do it. And of course, some meters for replacement purposes, or just the skill to service the meters. So another good example was Ruiru Juja. Ruiru Juja, when we started working with them, their non-revenue water was around 56%. By the time the project ended, they were able to reduce that to 26%. From 56 to 26, that's a drop of 30% in less than 3 years. And that translated to an increase in the billing from 35 to 65 million Kenyan shillings per month. So per year, that translated to, sorry, it's not displaying. That translated to, you can see Ruiru Juja, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one from the bottom, that translated a drop of 20% non-revenue, translated to an increase of 181 million per year. Is Ruiru Juja in the house? We have them around here, so you can confirm with them what I'm telling you. So in a nutshell, to make the long story short, non-revenue water reduction or commercial loss reduction, we need to focus on commercial losses. We are thinking so much in the direction of changing pipelines. But what are we doing about our billing systems? Are they up to date? Because you find that as you are doing the checks and balances, you find that on a monthly basis, this month they bill 49,000 accounts. Next month they bill 50, and the total is 65,000 accounts. So where is the difference of 5,000 on a monthly basis, and where is it not being billed? That's point number one. Point number two, why should a customer be on constant estimation? Sorry, I cannot show the Excel. Maybe, sorry, I can try one. Very quickly, I can see the CEO is almost on my neck. CEO, just 5 minutes only.
You know, you displayed a thank you slide.
That was erratic. So this is the billing data of Eldoret. As I said, we come to your WSP and pick the data as it is from your billing system. So we went and analyzed this, and this is the analysis of 1 year. As you can see from the summary table, it's not very clear. Let me try and increase the font. Eldoret, yes. Eldoret thought that they were doing 80% of their billing on actuals and 20% on estimates. But after the analysis, they only found out that they were doing 46% only on actual, meaning that 54% was being billed on estimation. So this is where the bone of contention lies. How are you doing this estimation? And then the good thing with the analysis, you can always filter. For instance, this summary table is not only a table. The values you see here have different meanings. For instance, to the management, if you want to reverse this, of course, the focus should be you start with the large consumers. The institutions where you will gain more. So from this, institutions lie under this first category, which is category 1. I said 0 means there were no estimation occurred. This is within the first 12 months. And X means estimations occurred 3 or more times. That could be 12 out of 12 months. So the worst case scenario, which accounts would you start working on? Which one would you prioritize? Because the purpose of this analysis sheet is to help you focus. We've been working so hard, but it's time we change and work smart. So with this kind of data, which accounts would you prioritize? The large consumers, correct? So which, when it comes to the frequency of estimation, which ones would you consider? the 3 or more, the X, sindio? So that in this case shows that we have 19 accounts which were estimated 3 or more times. But 19 is a number out of a total of 65,000 accounts. So how do you know who are these 19 by name? So a quick one, you just come here to your customer analysis sheet, you do the filters so that these filter icons can appear. So what you note is, 1, the category and the frequency of estimation, which will form your filter criteria. So you filter your data, 1, using the consumption category. So under here, consumption category, if you click on that filter icon, you will see a couple of them. But which category do you want? The first category, right? So you unselect all and only select the first category and click OK. From the filters, you can see 114 accounts have already been filtered. So that 114, this number here, you can see my cursor. This 114 is not just a number. It is representing this 114. That means we have 114 accounts who consume 300 and above cubic meters. And if you want to see them by name, here they are. If you count 1, 2, 3, they will be 114. But our interest was on this 18 because we want to go up on them, probably change their meters, correct? So our next filter criteria will be the frequency of estimation here, which is 3 or more. So I'll come back to my data. And in this case, come here to the part on the frequency of estimation, which is this. What do I want? 3 or more times, correct? So I will undo 0, 1, and 2 because they are less than 3. So I'm left with 3 or more, correct? So if I click OK, you can see from my filter icon I have 19 accounts. Sindio? My cursor on the extreme left. What is the number? 19. And which accounts were we looking for? How many? So you have the 19 by name. So from the comfort of the office, you can now just tell someone, can you go and service these accounts by name? Hello? Am I communicating? How much time do you need to service 19 accounts? How many days do you require? How many people do you require? And mind you, they are all institutions or large customers. So you have a sure bet that if you replace 1 meter, by the end of the month, you will have billed probably over 300 and above. So if you look at this part here of estimation, our filter criteria was 3 or more estimations. So these digits or values you are seeing here indicate the frequency of estimation on a monthly basis. So they were all estimated 3 and above times. So why are we talking about estimation? These are large consumers, but you can see at some point we are estimating a 6 to a customer who consumes 300 and above cubic meters. How much have we lost? If we bill a 6 to someone who consumes, let's say, 1,000 cubic meters, how much have we lost? And 6 is in terms of volume. So if we have lost 994 cubic meters in one account, multiply that by the tariff. Assume 100 Kenyan shillings times 994. How much is that? Mathematicians, 994 times 100, how much is that? 99,000 on one account. So, if you work on 10, how much have you saved? And with that, I now say thank you very much, and please, water is life, and let's work towards conserving it.
Why don't we
Thank you very much.
Maingi? Another round of applause, please. And it is in line with this conference because if you convert it into information, then top or senior management can now use it for decision.